What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Strictly Steelers podcast. I'm your host, Pittsburgh All Day, joined by my co-host Primetime. Say what's up,
You're
and Matthew, an old friend of ours. Welcome.
I
So today we're going to be doing a mock draft. But first, before we get into that, we're actually going to be talking about T.J. Watt for a couple of reasons. Some of y'all know, some of y'all may not know. He kind of posted some cryptic stuff on his Instagram yesterday of like him holding up the peace sign in a game that looked like it was against the Raiders. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, he just posted a picture of that on his story, and he's obviously in the last year of his contract and is probably looking for a new contract. Rightfully so. He's worthy of it. He deserves it. And we're just going to be talking about possible scenarios there, what we think of it, and like I said, yeah, mock draft, but not just like a full mock draft. It's just going to be a Steelers mock draft. Strictly Steelers, nothing else. So we're going to run through the picks we have right now. Maybe see if any of the guys did any trades, and yeah, should be a good one.
all right.
So, guys, what do we think of the TJ Watt stuff? What do we think?
So I'm gonna start off and go and like how I stated last episode and said that after the season, if it's the same thing over and over again, I could see him leaving. But now for the case, what it may be right now, going on yesterday, looking at work, pit up the deuces on the story. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? I'm like, okay, he's gone. And then come here today, it said Steelers in contract situations is not working out well with TJ Watt. I mean, obviously, okay, like we paid DK Metcalf, Miles Garrett got paid hella money. Max Crosby got paid, I think. And
Yeah,
so like now we're looking at a situation right here. I'm like, we need not only do we need a lot of improvement right now because the draft is on the way, but now contract situations are going on with TJ Watt. So I'm like, so now just that just pops up in my head like is he going to request a trade? If he does get traded, it's going to be like before the draft, after the draft. Is he going to play through the season? I was like, it's just so many questions and things going on right now that we don't know what's going to happen. But I still just stay with what I said last week, not 2 weeks ago. It's like that he's going to be gone soon. So it's like that's looking like the case right now. But um we don't know what's gonna happen. But I feel like for him, he deserves better. And if we do trade him, like it's definitely worth like two, like at least two first round picks and something like that. So I just hope if we do trade him, that it's for the better. But of course, I like to keep him. So we're gonna see what happens with that.
yeah, definitely going to be something that will. How about you, Matthew?
um well I'm like if I had to say right now I'd probably think like he's just gonna work out a contract because of that's kind of what the Steelers are proving to do over time is instead of like just trading and maximizing players' values, they actually get the contracts done. I don't know if I agree with that decision to do that right now because if you factor in his age, maybe decreasing in how talented he is now as of like this second, I don't think he's the same player he was. I don't know if he's gonna all of a sudden just improve with age. This was a bit of a down year. I think everyone can agree with that.
Yep.
And I
For
just I
sure.
just don't know if it's worth paying more than what Miles Garrett got when Miles Garrett is completely justified in that contract as a player, as much as I hate to say it, due to like every like factor, like he's way younger, and just has the more athleticism, I should say. And when your TJ's trying to get that much money, I think it puts us in a pretty tight situation for the rest of the team, salary wise. I really don't want to do it. I think it messes up the future. Um, I if he gets traded, I don't know if I'd be that mad, but I don't see it happening. I think they do sign him to whatever he wants. Like ultimately, I don't know how long it's gonna take, because that's just what they've proven to do with like most players. But I don't know. It's a weird situation. He did obviously have that like one situation before, but that got worked out, fairly quickly. Didn't linger into anything longer than what other situations around the NFL have been. But I don't know. I just my prediction is he's gonna sign for maybe the most defensive money in the league, like out of any player, more than Myles Garrett, which is just not what I want to do. But Omar pays the people, and I guess we're just gonna have to deal with it if it happens. But do you guys want that to happen?
I'll say this, obviously TJ Watt means a lot to this team. The Steelers are 1-11 without him, so I mean, I think that speaks volumes about what, his value is to this team and what he means. We're talking a guy that tied the sack record back in 2021 to the 2022 season and also won Defensive Player of the Year. But I do agree that, his play did take a bit of a down stretch this past season. You did see a decline in production a little bit. He wasn't necessarily getting to the quarterback all the time like he's so good at and, coming up with the big splash plays. And honestly, guys, down the stretch past the season, he was kind of, I hate to say it, non-existent.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
But, and also, you got to take age in, which kind of you mentioned, Matthew. He's 30 years old right now. He'll be 31 in October. So do I necessarily want to give a guy who I don't think could improve with age $40 million a year? Not really, because, this team isn't necessarily, we don't really have an identity right now. We don't really know what we want to do. We don't even have a certified QB1 on the roster yet. And we're 10 days away from, training activities and, draft prep and all that. So I don't know how I'd feel if they gave that kind of money to a team that for some insane reason is going after a 41-year-old quarterback at the moment.
That's if he wants to sign, because I don't know what his decision making is.
Yeah. Also, I do have a question for you guys regarding that. Do you think that the Steelers could be waiting to get a contract done with TJ after they see what their salary cap looks like if, A-Rod signs? What do you think of that?
I feel like that would just put us in cap space hell, because I'm not saying like it's gonna be like all terrible, because somehow Omar Khan can make some stuff work, but it's also at the same time, if we're looking at contracts right now, we paid DK a whole bunch of dollars. If George Pickens has like a really great season, he might want to get paid. TJ Watt already with contract situations. I think Minka still has like a year left in his contract. I don't know if we're going to keep him or not. Deshaun Elliott, he has another year. He has another year or two. He could get, he might want to get resigned and stuff like that. And now going over like for Aaron Rodgers, who's just going to play like a 1 year with the Steelers, I don't want to pay all that money for him, especially the fact that if our O-line cannot block, he's cooked. So it's like, why are we going to do this? It's just like no point at all.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense. Matthew, what about you? Do you think the Steelers are waiting for the Rodgers contract to see how their salary cap is affected before they extend Watt?
I feel like the whole situation's affected their entire offseason, because I don't know if that's the only thing they've been waiting on. Obviously they didn't sign insane names in free agency. Maybe because of that. I don't know what the original plan was. Obviously they wanted to re-sign Fields at first, but they ultimately chose the Jets. So that might have changed things for them immediately, pivoted to Aaron, and then, he's doing all this, like waiting and stuff like that. So I don't know. I feel like I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure when someone gets extended, like it frees up cap space for the short term or something until the actual extension kicks in. I don't really know specifically how it works, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Money's an issue right now, but because if he was just going to be on a 1 year, it probably doesn't affect like salary long term, because again, it's just 1 year. It's going to be off the books as soon as he's done. But I don't know. That's why I'm not opposed to, if like the situation was there to like maybe take Shadur, because the rookie contract would give us tons of flexibility elsewhere. But I don't know. In my perfect world, it's like waiting till next year to take a good quarterback in the first round and
That's my
ending up not paying TJ like the most money in NFL history for a non-quarterback. That'd be pretty nice to not do. Everything considered, he's my favorite defensive player of all time, besides Troy Polamalu. But like at a certain point, you can't just pay him because of what he's done for you in the past. You got to look at the future, and when you're trying to ultimately win a damn playoff game for the first time in a decade, I don't see how soon to be 31-year-old who might be on the decline. He might have already started. I don't know if it was a fluke or not. I don't see if that's the best idea. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. For as far as this year goes, I don't know. I think it makes sense for them. Okay, to answer your question, I think they are waiting for that because obviously they haven't done anything else. Outside of the moves that they've already done that aren't that big, as already said. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I just said Calvin Anderson. That's the only really.
Calvin Anderson just got a 2-year contract.
Why?
Okay, he wasn't that bad when he came in, but he's a backup tackle. It's whatever. But I don't know. Yeah, that's our big move in the past 3 weeks. So it is what it is. I don't know. I think they are waiting to see what happens with Aaron. As much as I have mixed emotions about it, I really just hate the fact that he's dragging it out so long. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I do think that would be my perfect world too if we take a quarterback next year in the draft, which happens to be in Pittsburgh, unironically. So
Exactly.
that would
We're
be
all pulling up.
cool, and I'm definitely pulling up to that. That's not even a question. So I really think we should wait till next year because not only that, just the QB class is stronger in general too. I feel like the only quarterbacks in my opinion that I can really see having a somewhat successful career in this current class is Cam Ward. I really like him. I do think he could be good, but he most likely is going into the Titans, so we'll see how that works out for him when he's got Dan Moore as his blindside blocker. Poor guy. But I think Jackson Dart, I like what Dart has, but I just don't think Dart is ready now. I think Dart would need a lot more time. And I think Shador has it all. I'm just worried that, the ego is going to get in the way.
That's a valid take.
Yeah, because I mean, look at his background and look at where he comes from.
Perfect time.
Yeah. So, and also as a Texas Tech fan, I just don't like Shador and Colorado. So maybe, personal bias is putting into that, but that's just what I feel.
Y'all cooked them though. Wait, I'm tripping. My bad.
Bro, what do
it was the other way around. My bad.
Bro, we lost 41-27.
I know.
Not cook.
I remember
We
now.
threw 3
WB
picks.
Ren Morton.
I love that.
All right.
But Aaron Morton, you sold that game.
All right. Are we done with the TJ contract disputes?
Unless you guys have anything else you want to add, then we can move on.
I think I'm good.
I'm good. All right.
All right. Well, cool. As I said, we're doing a Steelers mock draft, strictly Steelers. Like I said, that's the only team we're focusing on because we just love that team so much and they totally don't, drive us insane every day. But anyways, let's get into the draft. So who wants to go first?
All right. I guess I'm going to start off. So as I stated before, Steelers have a lot of needs right now. You can go quarterback. You can go defensive line. Some people could say running back, but if I was to do it my way, I would say with the first pick in the NFL draft, the Steelers. Well, not the first pick. The first pick for the Steelers, they select Derek Harmon from Oregon.
Nice.
It's the fact that he's a defensive lineman, and that if you're looking at our defense, our D line in general, we lost Larry Ogunjobi, and now he took Peds and is suspended for 6 games for the Bills. Cam Hayward, he's getting old, and we were signed Isaiah Loudermilk. I mean, I guess backup, for a backup, and it's he's not gonna provide that much of a spark. So right now we need a young guy that's gonna help us provide that spark, especially in the run game, to prevent teams from just bulldozing over us like Derrick Henry. Um, so I feel like if that can help the D line and get it to what it was like a couple years ago, you know, I feel like he could have that edge for him, for us. But like, we don't know how that's gonna go because it's a draft. But I would have that as my pick for right now.
Okay, I like that. I'm a Derek Harmon fan. I like his game a lot. I think he's a very good player, and if the Steelers were to take him, I would not mind that at all. So nicely done. Uh, Matthew, who do you got the Steelers taking at 21?
You know, I hate to not, be original, but I came down to a few people. I considered Matthew Golden from Texas. Um,
Oh,
I considered Amarian Hampton from UNC, the running back. I think he's really good. But I did take Derek Harmon too because I think it's probably the most valuable position out of those three: receiver, running back, and defensive line. And we simply just need the defensive run stopping help. It's getting out of hand. As Prime said, Cam is not getting any younger. I don't understand how he played like one of his best career years at this age. It's hard to like, as much as good as he is, it's hard to foresee that continuing, unless he's like Zeus or something, like just a Greek god or something. I don't see it happening that much longer. Keanu Benton, I love him, but I mean, I don't know if he's that good as a run stopper yet. He hopefully takes a step, but yeah, he's mainly been a pass rush guy, even though he only had like 1.5 sacks last year. They're not the only important pass rushing stat, but I don't know. I think he'd be really good complementary to Benton for the future. Obviously, Kenneth Grant is another guy, but he was off the board for me in this situation. I think he's arguably better than Harmon, but I'd be happy with either of them. I'm not going to be complaining if one of those guys is a Steeler on draft night, but yeah, overall, I think defensive line is, not undoubtedly, I think it's pretty arguable, but I think it's, in my opinion, our biggest need that needs to be addressed. Because we can't have Derrick Henry dropping, 200 yards on us in a wild card game again. You can't have Chase Brown cooking us like he did before he got hurt in that final game against the Bengals. And who knows what the Browns are going to do? Maybe they'll get Ashton Genty somehow. Who knows? Like, that's not okay. We need to be able to stop the run for the future, and Derek Harmon helps you do that.
that's
Yep,
right.
you nailed it. You guys absolutely nailed it. So I also hate to be original. I also went defensive line round one, but I did not take Derek Harmon because he was not available for me. Instead, I took another guy that I'm a really big fan of, and he's one of my favorite prospects in the draft, and that is Kenneth Grant from Michigan.
That's
Um,
not bad.
I really like Kenneth Grant. I think he's a athletic freak. I think he just, his size is just insane. All the different combinations that he has and all the intangibles. I think there's just a lot to like. And like you guys said, I mean, we need defensive line help. We really do. We need to stop the run. When you have Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and a young rising Chase Brown who missed half of last season last year, and he still almost rushed for 1,000 yards and kind of cooked us when we played them. So I really think that you need to get the defensive line right. You need to figure that out. You can't just let them gash you all game because that's how teams like to beat the Steelers. If you can run the ball on them, as we saw in the wild card game, they're very beatable. So I feel like if you get Kenneth Grant in there, you pair him up with Cam Hayward, kind of to take him under his wing, and obviously on the same line with Highsmith, Watt, and then of course you got Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson out in the linebackers. I think that's a pretty solid defensive core, if you ask me. And I think Kenneth Grant would be a good pair to that.
That's good. That's good.
Yep.
So yeah, I think we all think D line. That's good.
All right. Now, next pick. Of course, we don't have a second round pick. I was tempted to just try to trade something and get like a second round pick back, but I did something else instead. Um, for the third round, we trade up with the Niners and replace their third round pick. And in the third round, I don't know how Matthew gonna feel about this, but third round, I say Cam Scatterbo out of Arizona
Oh
State.
God.
Oh boy.
Now the reason for this, because I feel like for his stock, I'm like looking at his game. I'm like, I'm kind of surprised he's like kind of like a late round pick, but at the same time, it's like there's like you can say that there's like better talent if you're looking like in the first and second round draft board. So that's like understandable. But for us, of course, we lost Najee Harris, and now our running back room consists of Jalen Warren, who's not bad, but still has a lot of questions. It's like, can he hold on to the ball longer? Because he has like a little bit of a fumbling problem every now and then. And is he ready? If he's ready to take that running back one step, I don't know yet. And then we got Kenneth Gainwell from the Philadelphia Eagles, but he's like more of a solid backup for us. So I said we get Cam Scatterbo that could boost up our RB core, and it can have a little competition going on right there. But that it just provides us like like better depth in whether who's RB1 between Warren, or if we get Scatterbo, if it's him, like it could be a good 1-2 punch. So I say that could benefit us, but it's like he reminds me of Najee, like a little bit of a faster version of Najee. He's like aggressive, he's powerful. Like his last playoff game, his last game of his college career, he had a passing touchdown. Had like over 100 some yards rushing, and he had like he was the leading receiver as well. I'm like, that's like an all around playmaker just from that performance right there. So I'm like, I wouldn't mind that for our team if he's selected to us. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah. Scatterbo's definitely a great player. He tore up Iowa State in the Big 12 championship. RIP Iowa State. Sorry you guys had to go through that. But I like Scatterbo. He's a good player. A lot of people have mixed emotions about him, but he's not bad. Matthew, who do you got taken at 83?
Yes. I mean, speaking on what Prime did, I don't hate the idea of trading up for a better running back if one's available, and like it's still in the third round. As far as Scatterbo goes, I like him as a player. Don't get me wrong, but in my eyes, he's way too similar to Najee. Like, skill type wise, like his strong suits are almost identical. I do like how hard he runs, and he probably has better vision than Najee. Um, Speed, I don't know. They're probably pretty similar. But I just wanted for the running back position to kind of not have a Najee duplicate, because I don't really see us, progressing at that position if we do that. So I did take a running back, but I went Caleb Johnson. He was the best one available at pick 83. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he has great vision. He can make people miss. He absolutely dominated Iowa this year. 1537 rushing yards, 6.4 per carry, 23 touchdowns. Not much as a receiver, which is unfortunate because it's nice to have receiving threat out of the backfield. But Warren can do it, so I'm not too concerned about that. Kenny Gainwell's pretty nice as a receiving back as well. It'll be interesting to watch too. I don't know. I just think he'd be really good compared to other options available, because I'm not looking for a power back anymore. It's just not. It wasn't working with Najee. I think they got to switch it up and go for a more elusive kind of guy.
Yeah.
I think Caleb is the best of both worlds. I think he does have some power, but I think he can make people miss, as I said. So I think he's much more balanced, and I would be pretty excited if we got him. But if they were to somehow trade up, there are running backs like better. I like the Ohio State ones better. Hampton, as I said, but he might go first round. I like those guys better, but Caleb Johnson's not bad at all. So I would definitely be pretty happy with him if he managed to become a Steeler.
Yep. I would also be pretty happy with it too, because I took him at 83 as well.
Hey.
Yep. He was the Big Ten running back of the year. He was just really good at Iowa. Like Matthew said, I really think Caleb Johnson would be a good fit in what Arthur Smith likes to run. He's a run-first offensive coordinator, and I think Caleb Johnson would be his guy. Like Matthew said, I really think the Steelers need to just get away from this power back mentality mindset. I think we need to go for a more elusive kind of guy. I think it just, would be a lot better for this offense as a whole. I think we can do a lot more, be more creative, open up more opportunities for guys. So I really think, if they were to get Caleb Johnson, I would not be mad whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So nice to see that.
All right. Now, for next pick,
Yep, got it.
I traded again.
Oh,
Traded up with the Raiders.
okay.
I mean, it's in the fourth round. But I don't know why, but I can see it. I can see Jalen Miro falling to us. It's like I don't know how I feel about this. It's like I really don't necessarily want it to happen, but it's like at the same time, like we're quarterback needy right now. Like you looking at the quarterback room, it's Mason Rudolph and Skylar Thompson, and like right now, Aaron Rodgers is like on our radar. He's holding up. We lost Justin Fields. We lost Russell Wilson, and it's like we don't know how it's going to go, but it's like I feel like at this point it's going to be like QB needy. And like the good part about Jalen Miro is that he's really mobile. Like his arm talent is not terrible. Like it's not terrible. His accuracy just needs to like a lot of improvement though. It needs a lot of improvement. But like for us, like we need a guy that can like get out the pocket and stuff like that, and not just like fully just stand around, especially if our offensive line cannot do like their job. So I mean, that's like one of the best situations I can come up with. But like anything is better than like going into the season with Skylar Thompson and Mason Rudolph. Like no disrespect to Mason Rudolph, but like especially like Skylar Thompson. Say Mason Rudolph gets hurt, you got to rely on Skylar Thompson. Like that's not gonna do us any favors right there. So like we basically get DK Metcalf for what? Just have Skylar Thompson just throwing the ball and be useless. So it's like it's not many better options like looking at the later round. So that's like one of the best things I can come up with.
Okay. I mean, you're not wrong. We are quarterback needy. I mean, you're not wrong there. So, I don't hate the idea that you took Milrow. I'm not the biggest fan of Milrow just because I think he's really raw as a prospect. I think that, he needs a lot of work in a lot of areas.
Agreed.
But for what it's worth, apparently Tomlin and, the representatives have dinner with him in Tuscaloosa. So do with that what you will.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew, who do you have?
I think it's absolutely hilarious. We keep continuing this pattern of the same position. At the very least, first round we had the same player, third round same position, and we have the same position here. I didn't make any trades in this because I didn't want to be too unrealistic. Some of the offers they were sending me were kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So I was trying to just keep it realistic, but and I don't feel good about this quarterback whatsoever. I would much rather have Jalen Milrow than this guy because, like you said, he is raw, but like there's much more potential there if you can develop him. But at 123, I ended up going. Okay, before I say this, Omar Khan said they're bringing 4 QBs to camp, so there's 2 on the roster now. Say they get Aaron Rodgers, that's 3. You're gonna be drafting one. I feel like it's almost guaranteed that they draft one. It's just a matter of where and who. Obviously, I went with Quinn Ewers.
Oh yeah. Hell no!
I'm not a fan. Not a fan of him, but he's better than Kyle McCord in my opinion. And he was pretty much the only other option available that's even, almost worth being drafted. No, I don't know. That might be a little harsh, but like, I'm sorry, I'm not taking Riley Leonard. That's not fraud. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking, as I said, McCord. He had a nice end of the season, but like I watched him throw several pick sixes against Pitt, and Pitt was pretty bad. So I can't do it. Quinn Ewers has his up and downs at the very least. When he's playing bad, he's playing horrible, but he has good moments. If they're gonna draft a quarterback in the late rounds, this is who I prefer over the guys I mentioned that were available. But yeah, like I said, I'd much rather have Jalen Milroe or something like that. I don't want Quinn Ewers, but I also don't want the guys that I mentioned like McCord or Riley Leonard. So you gotta live with it.
Don't like Quinn because of
It
that
is what it
score,
is.
too.
Yeah, Texas, it is what it is. But I don't know. I hope we didn't have to go this route, but I'm trying to keep it realistic here.
Fair enough. I mean, fair enough. I get that. I definitely would prefer Milrow over Ewers too. I agree with that. I do think there's more potential there. But so this is where we have our first position change because I did not take a quarterback with this pick because all the guys that you mentioned were gone by this pick, and I was stuck with Riley Leonard as my best option and
Oh God.
not going to take him. So instead, I made an interesting pick here. I took Ashton Gillette, an edge out of Louisville.
Okay.
So we kind of already talked about it. TJ Watt, this stuff is obviously something to monitor. Do I think TJ Watt's going to get traded? No. I think I'm 80-20 on it. I'm 80% sure he's going to re-sign with the team. 20%, tells me that he's not going to, but that's where I'm at with that. But at the end of the day, TJ Watt is 30. He's getting into his 30s now. Can he still be that 22 sack guy that he was a couple years ago? Does he still have it in him? Like Matthew said, was this past season a fluke of where he just, had a down season? Was he dealing with the injury that we don't know about? I don't know, but I really think, if we took an edge, I don't think it would be the worst thing because outside of Nick Herbig, I don't really think we got much there. I mean, Jeremiah Moon is more of like a special teams guy, which is where I think he's best fit. And I feel like if you add Ashton Gillette, who was pretty good at Louisville, really good player, by the way. So I think if you add that to, already talented enough defense, I think, it's like a rich get richer type of situation.
Of course.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and also another thing I like to add about Louisville, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, a game I interned for back in December. Louisville was one of the teams that played, and Gillette didn't play though because he opted for the draft and didn't want to ruin his stock. But he's a nice guy, so wouldn't mind that either.
All right.
All right.
So
yeah, I went edge because, like I said, I wasn't going to take Riley Leonard. That just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I would actually. Oh my! I can't even say what I would be.
All right, guys.
156. Is that where we're at? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not going to pretend I know more about this man than I do, but I've at least heard the name a bit. I've seen him do a couple interviews. It's Kobe Bryant from Kansas, the corner.
That's a nice pick.
That's a good pick.
Thank you.
I like that pick.
I don't know his
Matthew Cook.
Well, I don't know his full-on strong suits and weaknesses. I'm not familiar with his game, like to that extent. But he dropped 4 picks last year at Kansas. That's not bad.
Ike Taylor, yeah.
Yeah, you're comparing to Ike Taylor.
No. You said drop 4 picks. I mean, like there was picks that he just dropped.
Oh, I meant like actually had them.
Oh, okay.
My bad.
We said drop picks. I said Ike Taylor because
Ike Taylor.
That's fair. Yeah, he had 4 interceptions. The corner room, it's still weak in my opinion. You have Slay and Joey Porter, Corey Trice. They really like him, and I do too if he can be healthy. But James Pierre, welcome back. But outside of that, there's nothing. It doesn't hurt to take a shot in this point in the draft, the 4th, 5th round. Kobe Bryant. There you go. I've heard of him. That's what I got.
Kobe.
You support it, so that's good.
Like when Tech played Kansas one year, like he was low key locking down our receivers. I'm not gonna lie.
That's great. But do you know his like height? Like, is he a mini guy?
I think he's like 6'3", but I can.
Oh, that's kind of perfect then.
Let me Google this real quick. Let me fact check.
Also, while that gives me time to ask this, what do you guys think of Ryan Watts, who the Steelers took last year?
Oh, see, he's so unnoticeable that I forgot about him. But I mean, I'm willing to give him a chance. Like, I'm sure it'll be a preseason focus, competing for a job.
Yeah,
I think he's got interesting size.
He could be a slot, couldn't he?
Yeah, he can also play safety too, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. And one thing I do like about Ryan Watts is that he was a really good run defender too, which is good to see in a corner and secondary type player.
Okay. So yeah. Or so I'm looking at Kobe Bryant. It said his height is like 6', 6'1". So like that's more like slot if I'm looking at it, but I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not bad. I mean, I would.
No,
I don't.
that's good. I was thinking he was maybe under 6 foot. So
Yeah, that would be terrible, especially guarding T. Higgins.
Oh
GG.
gosh, no. All right. So 150. Good pick, Matthew. I like that.
Thank you.
156. I actually have a guy that I think someone in here knows, and I don't know how he feels about him, but we're gonna find out. And I have the Steelers taking Jalen Reed, safety out of Penn State.
Oh, Matthew.
All right.
So, if you look at the Steelers safety room, you got Minka Fitzpatrick and Deshaun Elliott, obviously. No more DeMonte KZ, which is a good thing. And like I said, Ryan Watts, but he didn't play at all, so you don't know what you have in him. He's obviously, like I said, going to be a preseason focus, what Matthew alluded to. And I think that, you got to add more to that room. And they've met with a couple of safeties so far in the pre-draft, and none of those guys were available. So, why not take a guy that's close by that played with a pretty good defense last year in college and, sit him behind, add more depth to the room because, you got Miles Killebrew in there too, but he's already so focused on special teams, defense isn't really his thing. So I just feel like, you got to add to that room when you don't have much.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I watched him plenty. He's a Penn State legend. Not actually, but like he went to Penn State. I don't know. I feel like he was slightly inconsistent, but he's a pretty good run defender. As from a safety, coverage at some points can be, he can get cooked. He can get cooked at times, but I mean, he had a pick. And I don't know, was it a pick six or a fumble six? He had a touchdown at saying, I forget which game it was, but yeah, he can be a ball hawk. I don't know. He's kind of hard to describe because our best safety Kevin Winston was out the entire year basically, so he had to step up. I would say he definitely boosted his draft stock enough to be drafted. Otherwise, he might have went just back to school. So yeah, I think I wouldn't be mad whatsoever if we took him, especially day 3, because I don't know. It's hard to describe him. Like he's a really interesting player. Like I don't think he's bad, but I also don't know how good he can be. So I guess that's kind of a wait and see. But for day 3, I would not be mad at that at all. So
yeah,
that'd be Jalen.
That's valid. That's valid.
Yeah. All right. So me and Matthew go secondary, and Prime goes the receiving route. We all go skill position. I like it.
Yes, sir.
All
Now,
right, get into the final 2 here. So Prime, take it away.
All right, on to 107, pick number 223. There's not much left on board, but I got Jack Nelson out of OT out of Wisconsin. I haven't seen too much of his film, but it's like offensive tackle. Like he can come in for the depth. We signed Calvin and it's like what's Spencer? Is Spencer
Anderson?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we re-signed him to a 2-year. I don't know why, but I guess just for depth. But Troy Fautanu should be coming back. Broderick Jones should finally play his rightful position. Still got Mason McCormick, Ryan McCollum, those kind of guys on the offensive line. So he can just provide us like a little bit of depth. And also the fact that we lost James Daniels and Dan Moore in free agency. So I'm gonna just go with that. There's not too much I can say about that.
Yeah, not bad. I also took a tackle too. I'll obviously say that when I get to it. But Matthew, what did you do with this pick?
Yeah, pick 185. This is where I went receiver. At this point, there's not going to be that many, on the board that like you think are going to be difference makers. But given my options, I did a tiny bit of research. It's Pat Bryant from Illinois. Illinois had a really nice season offensively with Luke Altmaier at quarterback. They had exceeded expectations, I would say. Illinois had a pretty nice year. Pat Bryant specifically had 984 yards and 10 touchdowns. So obviously, he played in the Big Ten, so I feel like that's impressive. Like he had monster games against Rutgers, but it's not important. Michigan State, he dropped 135. He didn't do anything against Penn State. That's not important. Okay, maybe his monster games were against slightly worse competition, but I don't know. In the 6th round or six, I don't even know which round this is in. Maybe the 6th is 185 in the 6th.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
like a pick, yeah.
So 6th rounder. I mean, it is what it is. You can get someone who has a chance to be a contributor, see what he can do. I'm not too familiar if he's like a separator or like a big go up and get it type guy. Let me just type him in real quick. Pat Bryant. We'll see what his height is and stuff. But I don't know. His stats were intriguing. He's 6'3", so that's not terrible. He's 22. That's kind of older than I expected. I don't know. For a 6th rounder, he had a good year, so I thought, why not? It's kind of worth it to give it a shot. I know the receiver room's in a weird spot right now because DK is locked up forever. I can't believe, bro. If someone said this to me 2 months ago, I would have called you, some names, but
I would
it is
have called
what it is.
I would have said no.
I mean, with our history of hating the Seahawks, and I hated on DK for years, it's hard transitioning to having to support him, and like I love him, but it is what it is. So he had to, but Piggins might be out of here soon if he doesn't get extended. I love Calvin, but who knows what his future is. I don't know. So why not just take 6th round? He had a good year. Pat Bryant from Illinois.
All right.
It's Plunder dead.
Mike.
Michael.
Oh God. What happened with him?
Deontay.
Young Deck. I'm not gonna say it.
And he disconnected. That's not good. We're gonna have to stall.
Oh man.
So, nice weather we have here.
Yeah, I'm just can't get over last night, but
What happened last night? I don't want to,
yeah. So the Warriors, we're looking kind of cooked right now. I don't know.
I think we're getting like the 7th seed now. It's kind of depressing. All I wanted was to not be in the play-in, and that's where we're going.
And I think the first round we would play the Timberwolves if the season ended today. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like Dante gonna drop like 30 on us, like a former Warrior right there. I still wanted him. I still wanted him on the team, but
yeah, I don't know. It's rough. I don't know. I am not very optimistic after that. I don't know. I mean, we were basically fully healthy. I mean, Quentin Post wasn't playing, but like, you can't lose to the Spurs without Fox and Wemby. Like, what is going on?
I knew it was gonna happen. Like, I'm in like 2-3 Warriors group chats. I'm like,
yep.
Like some people's like saying this should be easy. We got the Spurs, and I already know the history between the Warriors and the Spurs. I'm like, they always give us competition whether they're healthy or not. I'm like, you see, like 2021 season, like we lost to them like twice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Curry was just going crazy, like scoring title all day. We were still the better team, and they won like 20 games. It makes no sense.
I don't know.
And apparently I think Curry has like a losing record against the Spurs in his career.
Wow. I mean, yeah, they had Kawhi for a while, DeMar, Aldridge, and now Wemby, and I guess even without Wemby, they still own us. So
they always just have an.
You got to let him in.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
But yeah, I don't know. It's rough. We can't talk about this in front of Plundo.
Yes, you can, Harrison Barnes.
Ratio, buddy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I support that.
Before we get back into it, just gonna say Spurs got the brightest future out of any team in this call. So yeah.
All right.
You guys caused me pain in the past, and in the past the Warriors have done me dirty. So that was really cool to see last night. But I will say the only two Warriors fans, with an exception, are funny enough in this call. So, they get a pass and they will not get slandered because I respect them. So you're welcome.
See, that goes both ways.
Yeah.
That
Can't-
goes both.
can't-
That
I don't
it
even
goes-
hate the Spurs. I just did not want to lose.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you guys have much more to play for than we do.
like I said, like, it goes both ways because I remember watching the Warriors. I witnessed Courage up 44 in the playoffs and still lost in overtime. I don't want to hear this.
Yeah, I
I-
witnessed Chris Bosh. That was not fun.
Back to Allen. All right, I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, sorry. I got cut out. I guess the internet kind of glitched out there, but glad I was able to get back in because that, normally doesn't happen.
Yeah, this website's good.
Okay, so pick 185, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I also had us taking a tackle like what Prime did with Jack Nelson, and I had us taking a Johnny Cornelius out of Oregon. I do not know much about this guy. I haven't watched tape on him, but I saw some Oregon's fans on Twitter speak highly of him, saying that he's one of the best tackles that they've had in a long time, and really good reason why their offensive line was so good. So that was good to read. And
Right.
kind of like what Prime was saying, he lost some pieces on the O-line. Dan Moore getting an outrageous contract with the Titans, but not complaining about that.
No.
James Daniels, wish he didn't leave, but he tore his Achilles, and that kind of just sealed the deal for him. But hope he does well in Miami. So feel like, we need to add to that room, guard or tackle, whether 1B. But I really think Cornelius could make a nice swing tackle.
All right.
So,
enough.
yeah. 229 or Prime, since I guess you traded. Who's your last pick of the draft for the Steelers?
All right. So last pick of the draft. Going with safety Hunter Wohler out of Wisconsin.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, so like how you mentioned before with Orion Watts, that he could play cornerback and safety, but our safety room, it's just mainly Minka and Deshaun Elliott. So we need a good amount of depth like right there. And of course you said Miles Killebrew. Even though he can play safety, he's mainly a special teams guy, and he's been very good for us in the special teams aspect. But a guy that can provide us some depth right there, especially when Minka is not on the field, if he's not on the field, because he's been hurt a couple of times the last few years. I would like to see what he could do if that was to be, a situation. But no more KZ on the team. Deshaun Elliott, we really like him. Hopefully he can stay with us and have better production this coming season. But that's all I got to go with right now. Just the 7th round. Not much left to do right there. And yeah, that's all I got.
I like it. I do think we're gonna draft a safety. I just think it's gonna be in the much later rounds. So I'm happy about that because, like I said, we do need to add to that room. And yeah, that's a good pick.
Apparently, he's a pretty solid tackler.
Nice. So was Sean Davis.
All right.
Yo, bro, he knows that very well. Well, he didn't at the time, but now he
All
does.
right. I mean, we could do it again. Not with Sean Davis,
You
but
have to bring it back.
I'd be happy to bring that back, and I'd be happy to host it, honestly, because I know great questions I could ask.
all right.
Alrighty.
Alrighty, moving on. Matthew, cap off the draft for the Steelers.
Yeah, it's funny. I took the same position as Prime once again. Safety. This was one of the only guys that I've heard of on the board still because at this point it's near undrafted type range. But this guy, he's 23 years old, so I figured he has lots of experience. Why not get another Alabama safety, John Minka?
Is that what I think it is?
Malachi Moore.
That's a nice one right there.
Nice.
Is he? I mean, I feel like his stock was higher before, and then it kind of dropped off a cliff. Is that right? Like,
I think it was.
I feel like I remembered seeing him like fairly high in the past. I don't remember when, But now that he's available in the 7th round, I feel like why not? He's on a prominent team in Bama. He's older. He was probably the leader, you have to assume, at this age. So yeah, I don't know the reason why he fell so far. Obviously, he had to have had like injuries or a down year. But yeah, I mean, at the 7th round, you're just taking dart throws. So why not go for a guy who cemented himself as a starter at the very least on a very notable team in Alabama. So I feel like it made sense at this at this juncture, as Mike Tomlin said.
Yeah, that's good Tomlinism out right there. But yeah, I do remember Malachi Moore, and I actually do remember what you're talking about vividly. I think I do remember seeing him as like even the highest ranked safety at some point. So I do think
No,
something definitely happened where he's not like that anymore, because that's not the case.
if looking at his pros and cons, it says he could play multiple roles, like including slot, free safety, and strong safety. Really good at play recognition, stuff like that. Isn't afraid to tackle, but it says he's terrible at run support, can miss a lot of tackles, and lacks a little bit of speed. So let's take
Hopefully
it.
not like, or hopefully not like Trey Norwood.
Oh God.
Yeah, hopefully not like that. But to cap off my mock draft for the Steelers, I took a receiver. Matthew put it the best possible way. This is pretty much undrafted range. Pretty hard to find. Playmaker and all that. So I went with Brew McCoy, a receiver out of Tennessee. Kind of like Cornelius. Don't know much about him, but he is kind of on the older side as a prospect. He is 24 years old, so we'll see. How he would fit into this room, but I like our receiver room. I like it a lot better now, especially that we have a solidified wide receiver 1 now, because we had Van Jefferson as our wide receiver 2 heading into last season, and that was just not an ideal scenario to be in. So I'm glad it's not going to be like that. But I do think that they could very well draft a receiver this year again. So I got Brew McCoy.
All right.
All right.
So yeah, that's gonna, what's it called? We might maybe do a mock draft, maybe one final one before the draft, but we'll see how we're feeling there. But how we feeling, guys? We pretty cool with our picks? We think we did a good job. Wish we did something different, or what?
We cooked. We had the same stuff almost.
Yeah, really. I think we all kind of thought the same way.
Yeah, as long as Riley Leonard's on the team, I'm fine.
Yep.
Yeah, no, what's it called? I honestly would have taken a quarterback at pick 123. I definitely would have, but like I said, I mean, Riley Leonard was my best one available, and not a fan of him at all, and I do not think he has a future in this league whatsoever, so I did not take him.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
But I will say, I'm not a big fan of Tyler Shough. I think you guys know why. His Texas Tech tape is not good, and I know he had a better season at Louisville, but I just really think that he wouldn't do anything in this league either. So I'd say those are 2 quarterbacks that I hope the Steelers kind of stay away from.
Typical guy from Texas Tech not doing anything. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know, shocker, right? I mean,
Wait, are you gonna be any miss before we leave? Is that how this works?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because normally with the last one we would like leave as the recording ended, so I didn't know how this worked. But
Yeah, no, what's it called? Curious to see where Taj Brooks though. Hope
oh
he
yeah,
goes.
I'd take him.
What?
I would take him as Steeler. Welcome.
Yeah, he's a guy. He's the main guy. I love him. Lubbock's finest.
Yes, sir.
But all right. Unless anybody has anything else they want to add, think that's gonna do it.
Nope, I think we're good unless Aaron Rodgers decides to be quarterback.
He just signed. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, guys, we got our quarterback finally. 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
Another 9-8 season by Mike Tomlin.
I mean, that's gonna be my pickup line. You could be the 9 to my 8,
Whoa, okay, I think that's enough for tonight.
Yep. All right.
Yeah. From the co-host, Primetime.
Giggity.
Oh, and it's enough for me, huh? All right. And from the co-host Matthew.
Peace out.
All right. See you guys.
Later.